The SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. So yeah, we're back again with more SpongeBob. I promise not to make this a thing, but the film came out this year, so it's still somewhat relevant, I guess. This film is now directed by Paul Tibbitt, and it follows a annoyingly similar story to the first film. It's the same thing with many of the episodes of the series, is that Plankton is always coming to take the formula, and it's the same thing over and over again. This film is the same as the first one in many ways. Plankton is coming back, he wants to take the Krabby Patty formula again, and for some reason, which gets explained later, the Krabby Patty formula disappears. And SpongeBob is the only one that witnesses that it actually disappears, and Plankton didn't do it as part of his scheme, so SpongeBob agrees to help Plankton, redeem his name. And then it does the usual stupid SpongeBob stuff, which is fairly entertaining. For example, when the patty formula goes and people realise they can't eat Krabby Patties anymore, the world turns into a Mad Max-style post-apocalyptic setting instantly, which is admittedly pretty funny in my opinion. Now it's a question of the exiled SpongeBob and Plankton finding a time machine, going back through time to try and figure out what happened to the patty formula and the many adventures that takes them on. And yeah, it's okay. It's not as good as the first film, but it's okay. It's still SpongeBob, I guess. The thing that this has over the first SpongeBob movie from 2004 is that this time it feels like a movie. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which this isn't confusing, the first one felt like a TV series episode that was a bit longer than usual. This actually does feel like a film, which is good. I enjoyed that it felt like an actual movie with a standard 3-act structure, so that's good. Something you might be expecting if you've seen the trailers is that this is going to be a CGI film where SpongeBob and his friends are all out on the actual land and they're not 2D animated anymore, they're 3D. That actually doesn't happen for a very long time. That's the last 20 minutes of the film where that's actually happening and the final set piece, so don't expect much of that. Even though when that happens, yeah, it's fairly enjoyable, it's not bad, and I kind of enjoy that it wasn't the crutch of the film. In the trailers, it was made out to be, so I guess some people are going to be a little annoyed by that. Personally, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I came for SpongeBob, obviously. It's the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, and I got SpongeBob, so what am I complaining about? Not much, really, but as a comparison to the first film, it's definitely worse. I mean, it has a lot of the same SpongeBob humour, but it feels changed 10 years on. For example, at the beginning of the first movie, I said in my review that I like the bit where the pirates are going to the cinema, and it's all like, oh, pirates are going to the cinema, I'll watch the film. That's pretty funny. In this film, Antonio Banderas plays a pirate that's found a book, and that's all played up, and there's these seagulls that talk to him, and it just feels a little bit forced, like they're forcing a little bit of weirdness from this humour. It's like, yeah, it's not as funny as it was the first time, is it? So I feel like SpongeBob's changed a little in 10 years, and I mean, it's still SpongeBob. I mean, it's not the Mona Lisa, wearing and tearing after a certain period of time. It's still SpongeBob. But it lives and dies on the jokes, and I just personally think that the jokes aren't as funny as they were in the first film, and that's a bad thing. The characters are still enjoyable. The story is still enjoyable. It's all enjoyable, on that level, it's okay. But it's not going to blow you away, which SpongeBob never did. It relies on its humour and charm, and this movie lacks a little bit of that. It doesn't feel the way the first film felt, which was a bonus of the first film. This film is just lacking that a little. And in most other films, that would have been fine, but this film doesn't have much else actually going for it, and neither did the first one. Difference is, first one did the stuff it did do right, very right. This one does it. Oh, okay. It's not a good film. I still like it. I still think it is an okay film. It's a good time, definitely, and some people are going to get a lot out of it. But, there are flaws. I enjoy the animation style. It's very colourful. Even when they went CGI, I enjoyed that too. That worked very well, in my opinion. So it's all good, and that mixes it up a little, mixes up the formula, which, yeah, I kind of enjoyed that, but a lot of it feels very samey. And I don't like many of the changes, and that's a problem. Probably sounds like I'm hating on the film a bit, but no, it is a genuine blast. Stuff's always happening, it moves at a good pace, it's not too long, so it doesn't fatigue you, just like the first film didn't. A lot of stuff happens, and it's big and more grandiose than the first film was. It's got a bigger scope to it, which I appreciate. It's just, it doesn't feel as unique. Unique isn't the right word, but it doesn't feel as well realised as the first one did. But it's still a pretty good time. I give the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, a 6 out of 10. It's definitely a good time. It's definitely fun. It's definitely enjoyable. It is just not all that. It's fun. It's funny. Not all the jokes land the way the first film did. It there's just not much to it like the first film, but what the first film did have to it, which wasn't much, it did really well in that regard. This film does it a little bit less well, and so it falters quite a bit from that. But that's my review of the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. If you like this review, please like and favourite in the boxes below. You know what to click. And please subscribe if you want to see more. There's always going to be more. This is the end of SpongeBob. Okay, I'm sorry about 2 days of SpongeBob, but I watched them, so I got to say something about them. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching.